All right. Hey, students out there, sure to appreciate y'all joining us today. I have two fantastic people here for us to talk a little bit about event planning and event planning associated activities. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, but they are both fantastic folks who work at Red Mountain Theater, and we'll talk a bit about that as well. Tricia, would you mind introducing yourself and maybe just kind of tell me what your official title is?
Absolutely. So my name is Tricia Hemphill, and I am the Business Development Manager for Red Mountain Theater.
Awesome. And Dakota, introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Dakota Patrick. I'm the Patron Experience Manager.
Awesome. Fantastic. Yeah, we were just talking today about kind of a customer experience manager or something like that. So that seems like it'll fit in pretty well with that whole discussion that we've been having so far. I was wondering if you might be able to tell me kind of a little bit beyond your actual titles, kind of like what is it you're responsible for and sort of the day-to-day thing. And we'll definitely talk a bit more about sort of like the day-to-day of your jobs, but like what would you say if a student was looking for one of these kind of jobs, what kind of information would be on the job ad and things like that, like things that you're responsible for? Tricia, you want to start us off?
Absolutely. So we divide out the event planning, and I'm responsible for the sales. So the that would include venue rentals, group tickets, ads. So my job is to work with the client to get them to sell our property to them.
Awesome. And so if I understand correctly, Red Mountain has a number of different places so not only do you do like theater productions, you also have a few spaces that you rent as well. Is that correct?
Absolutely. When we are not using our space, we rent all of our spaces out. So even the main theater. And so yeah, lots of different options for lots of different types of clients.
Awesome. Dakota, you want to tell us a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So I basically the front of house manager. So anytime there are patrons, whether it's for a show or an event in the building, I'm in charge, kind of their contact on site. So I manage all of our volunteers, all of our security operations, our parking attendants. We have a staff. I run our two bars on site. Anything that's patron experience. So once Tricia has sold the space, they kind of come to me and we work through the logistics of their event up until the event day. So we do floor plans and any specific furniture rentals and all kinds of things like that. So we work with a bunch of vendors and stuff as well.
That sounds like a very diverse kind of thing. Like your thing sounds like a whole lot of different little tasks kind of all put together.
Yeah.
Would you describe it that way as well?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's definitely six hands in one direction.
Well, good thing you have six hands, right? So that's
absolutely.
That's a good thing. Well, since we're talking right now, we'll start with you, I guess, then too, about kind of a daily life. Like what does it look like for you? Like I'm kind of specifically thinking like, on the day-to-day job. And then I know also you would often work weekends or other times like that as well when things are happening. So would you mind kind of filling us in a little bit about what it looks like to be a patron experience manager on a day-to-day kind of basis?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's the number one thing is whenever guests are on site. So for our shows and stuff, I usually will come in later in the afternoon just because I'll be working all night. And so I'm helping run the show. And as people are coming in, they're mingling about, they go into the theater and whatnot. For our events, it's going to be the same. I get here depending on when the event is going to start. The client usually comes in an hour or two before the event to do some setup and final walkthrough. And then we'll have the event itself, and then we'll have to strike the event and clean up and make sure they get all their stuff on the way out. So on non-event days, when I have a little bit more time, I do a little bit more admin work. So I'll get to come in a regular 9 to 5 and make calls to clients and any other kind of event prep for them, working with the vendors to make sure we have furniture coming and all kinds of stuff like that.
So it definitely doesn't sound like a 9 to 5 job every day then. Is what the situation
is. Not at all. I have no consistent schedule.
That's got to be hard to schedule your personal life just a little bit, I'm sure. So it can be a little bit difficult at times. So you would still sort of work like a normal like 5 or 6 day week, or would you sometimes even work 7 days depending on how many events there may be?
Yeah, it's I would say getting started, it was more on the 7. But luckily, like with Tricia here and stuff, like when we have a lot of stuff going on, we kind of tag team it. So she'll step in and work on the events and stuff like that too. So I can have a day off.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, it's always one of those things you never know exactly how many people you need for these kind of things. I'm sure it's also like one of those kind of jobs where sometimes it's just nice to sit down and do a little paperwork on occasion, right after the chaos of an event of some sort. So.
Absolutely. I don't mind the desk at all.
Awesome. Tricia, you want to fill on that too? What's the daily situation for you look like?
Yeah, so it varies, and that's one of the things I love about it. It's a mixture. My job is to get clients. So it's either working with current clients or trying to find new clients. And we're kind of the shiny new object in town. So we're blessed in the fact that we have a lot of incoming calls. So at this point, I'm not having to work too hard to find those. We know that will come in the future. So we're planning for that. Absolutely.
That's a nice thing to have, and that's wonderful.
It's a wonderful way to start a job.
Yeah.
So we have, I do first thing, emails. We have so many emails coming in. And so it's working, getting in touch with the client. Sometimes we can do that just through email or a phone call and give them a proposal. We like to get them in and show them around, because if they can see the space, they fall in love.
Yeah, it's a great space.
Yeah. So and then it's working with our team, because sometimes we have, sometimes it's really easy and it's just a room where we turn the lights on, but other times it's a larger event. It's a corporate client and they want to use the main theater. So we have to plan our production staff, and they have to let us know what would be needed. And then we figure out the pricing. And so it's a lot of different things. And the day goes by so fast, because we hardly ever, it makes for a busy day.
I'm sure.
And it is fun. It's fun. I think that's one of the neatest things. It's definitely not boring. And it's always changing.
Yeah. Well, you're speaking to high school kids at the moment, so trust me, they know boring sometimes. That's going to be highly attracted to them, the idea that they get a chance to move around a little bit. I always think it's funny. Sometimes we talk and they talk about how they want a job that's fairly easy, and then I think, well, you'll get there and you won't like it as much, because it's going to be very slow for sure. So it sounds like a pretty fast-paced situation that you got going there. Awesome. Well, so this again is a question, like, we're not asking for kind of specific details for yours, but like a starting salary in a position like this, like let's say that a student is looking for these kind of things or thinking about this in the long term, what might be a starting salary for a position like yours or something similar for that?
It really varies, just because it's a diverse field that is often, if you just Google starting things, some places will start as low as like $15 an hour and go up or lower salaries. It's really hard to kind of pinpoint and say, it's not one of those fields. It's like, this is what you're kind of gearing towards.
Right.
So there's
it depends a lot. I imagine it probably depends a lot too on the size of the venue space or event space or whatever. So there at Red Mountain being a large, programs and all those kind of things, I'm sure that it would be more than, say, like if you were doing this for like a church or like a nonprofit or something like that. Maybe would that be something you'd say is correct? Or
absolutely, yeah. Nonprofit. Red Mountain is a nonprofit.
Fair,
so,
yeah. Sorry.
So it's hard. We have a large space, but we also are still reliant on donations and stuff. So there are so many variables. There's never a clear answer.
Yeah, no, I get it. So all over the place is kind of the situation for the fees and costs and stuff like that. Okay, yeah, excellent. Tricia, anything you want to put in on that, or?
No, I think it's like anything, how hard you work at it, how good you are in the experience. You certainly can make a nice living doing this. It's competitive. It's like anything else. It's
yeah, awesome.
How you present yourself.
I think that's always the case. Yeah. So kind of a personal question here, like, why did you choose this type of work for y'all? Like, what was it about doing something like this that really attracted you to doing it? Like, is this something you kind of fell into? Was it something you were planning about, et cetera, et cetera? Tricia, you want to start us off with that, or?
Sure. Well, it's interesting. I'm doing this later in life after another career. Early on in my career, I'm a marketing major, so my degree was marketing. I was in sports marketing, and I really enjoyed that. So it was a form of event, but it was not in sales. It was more the event planning part and working with media. Later in life, this was it's just something that kind of fell in my lap. I wanted to do something different, and I didn't know how much I would love sales.
Yeah.
To be honest, but I think it's because I love what we're selling. It's so, you know what I mean? It's the whole package. And when you believe in what you're selling, it's fun. And so, it kind of did just fall into my lap, but it's I'm loving it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So yeah,
Yeah.
you're never too old to change your mind.
That
That's
is an,
important for your students to know. Like, if
yes,
you
that is
get into the
awesome.
field, do not stay there if that's, and there can be, a field for you at a certain time of your life. And then, so
Yeah.
yeah.
No, that's excellent. Yeah, excellent point. Dakota, how about you?
Yeah, I wasn't really planning on it either. I got my degree in theater management.
Mhm.
So theater was kind of the first thing that I wanted to work in. I fell into this job part-time when I was in college.
Mhm.
And then the full-time job came open and I wanted to get back into theater. And the event planning kind of just came with it. So
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
something that just kind of fell into my lap as well. And
Yeah.
it's been a fun ride.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of my students don't always realize about jobs sometimes. Like we all have these like ideas in our head of what we're going to do. And I think what you're saying there is a great point that sometimes things come available to you and you got to be flexible in what it is you're doing to try to seize those opportunities when you get a chance to do so. Yeah. So how about a question too about sort of educational sort of situations? Like I kind of have these two questions about educational requirements, but also about like, what would you tell the kids to do if this was something they were interested in? I kind of think those questions are kind of like similar to each other, but like, yeah, like, my kids are going to be going to college in 3 or 4 years or whatever. Like if they were interested in working in, patron experience or in sales for events, things like that. I mean, is there a particular like type of thing they should be studying when they're there? Or, I don't know if that question makes sense, but yeah.
Okay. So I have a marketing degree, but if I knew that this is what I want to do, there's the hospitality management programs, and they're called different things at different universities.
Yeah.
And there are things you can learn on your own, but the more prepared you are, the more marketable you are. If you know this is what you want, and there's a lot of things within the industry that you can work and specialize in. So even though neither one of us took that route, it would have been so beneficial. There wouldn't be as much hands-on, and I think it would open more doors for you.
Yeah,
Take it in. So yeah, I mean, there are programs out there that are designed for what we do.
Yeah. And Dakota, it seems like you kind of came in on the side through a theater degree. So like if the students maybe had an interest in a particular thing, then they could maybe try to do that as well. Does that make sense? Like if they had a particular way they wanted to do that, they could kind of do it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the number one thing, and I know we'll kind of touch on this as well, but the number one thing with any event planning is just guest experience and like client experience. You're working with people, and if any outward facing educational opportunity or work opportunity that you can have working with people is only helping prepare you for something like this.
Yeah. Okay. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, this is actually kind of one of our next questions, which, these are some of these questions come in through like the students, like they're kind of asking these questions. And I think some of them are asking this because they're maybe not as much, but it's kind of a question about customer facing. Is it sort of a customer facing job? Do you work with the public? Do you have to interact with a lot of people, et cetera? So I imagine the answer to this question is yes, probably.
Yes, absolutely.
If you do not enjoy interacting with people, this is not the field you need to go into.
Yes.
Right, absolutely.
This is 100% reliant on working with people.
Yeah. So introverts not apply necessarily. I mean, obviously there's places for those folks as well, but yeah, definitely in that situation, if you're not a big fan of chatting with people, talking with people, things like that, it might not be the best thing for you to do. So absolutely. How many people do y'all think y'all, kind of talk to on a daily basis about things? I mean,
it just depends.
Yeah.
If there's an event going on, then that's going to be really high.
Yeah.
But just on a day-to-day basis, the amount of people that are coming through, prospective clients, current clients, calling and getting estimates for different, from different vendors.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even looking at this Saturday, we're going to be doing an event in the morning, a breakfast with Santa event, and then we're going to have 3 shows following. And so, I mean, over the course of the day, we'll see, well over 1,000 people in just one.
Wow.
So,
and those people may need help. They need assistance from you. They need, you also got to organize. So you're talking to tons of those people as they're coming through. Man, that sounds like a tiring day for you, Dakota. I hope you're planning on relaxing on Monday.
Right, absolutely.
He has some very long days.
Yeah. Are there any, so, work from home has been a big thing in the past few years too. And so a lot of my students, about half of them are just like, we never want to work from home. And the other half are interested in it. Are there any sort of work from home aspects to the job, or could there be, or are there maybe different versions of your job where it's work from home, or does it really have to be kind of there at the theater?
Yeah, I think probably with mine, it would be easier maybe to do from, it's not really, because you want to be here and you want to, there's so much interaction with what's going on, and we have so many internal meetings. That couldn't be done through Zoom, but
Yeah.
it's good to be on campus to show if you're going to show the property, there's nothing like showing it,
Sure.
to them in person. When I am out of the office, there's a lot I can do. So
Yeah.
I don't know that work from home, but I can certainly make use of my time when I'm not here. So I think there's that aspect of it.
Yeah. Yeah, with me, not so much.
Yeah.
Because you're the person on site, you're the one that's helping the client be calm and stuff, but you're also helping all the guests and stuff that are coming to the event. So there's not really an opportunity. The day of events.
Yeah.
You have to be here.
Yeah.
So
Excellent. Yeah, cool. So are there certain kind of places that are better or worse for this job? Is there like, I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but like a place in the country that's easier to find jobs for this, or is this just kind of like just wherever you are, there's going to be something similar to this, or what do y'all think about that?
Yeah, I think it varies. I'm from a small town in Mississippi, and we have a large golf club in town, especially compared to our size. So you wouldn't think that this small Mississippi town would have a need for it, but because of the location. So I think it depends what venues are in your area, but certainly larger areas are going to have more opportunities.
Probably cities too, right? I mean, that would, because they're going to have more of those event spaces that you would need.
Yeah, because there's going to be more of the venues.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, depending on the specifics that you get into, there's something everywhere, because somebody's always going to need their wedding planned. Somebody's always going to need a birthday party.
Yeah.
So whether you're a freelance event planner and you have clients that you take to places, or you represent a venue that you are trying to bring clients into, I mean, everybody is always, like I said, going to need a birthday party or something. So you can really be anywhere. Obviously, like you said, there's going to be a lot more business in a city and stuff just because of the density of people. But I think you can do it anywhere, any country, any city.
Awesome. Great. Yeah, cool. Fantastic. Let's see. What are some of the hardest things about your job? What are some of the most rewarding things about the job? Dakota, do you want to start off?
My answer is the same for both of the questions.
What would you say? People. It's people. Yeah.
That's good.
I think the hardest part is that there is no clear cut and dry. We can talk to the client 10 times leading up to their event and say, this is what we're doing. This is how many tables you need. This is how we want the event to run. And they'll get there the day of every time and say, I want all this changed. And you can smile and grin and you make it happen for them. And that is very difficult. But then you get to the event, and especially when they're leaving and stuff, and once it's been a wonderful event, they're so happy, they're so grateful, and you really made an impact. So it's the people for both.
Absolutely. Tricia, anything to add to that, or is it the same thing?
It's really hard to improve on that. I think probably besides what he's saying, the hardest part for me is just time management. And there's so many things coming at you at once. You're working on a proposal, somebody stops at your desk, asks about something else, and it's so organized and on track. And Dakota's better at that than I am. So and it's a rewarding part again, just seeing it all come together and your dream come together and a happy client.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's fantastic. Let's see. Anything else you just kind of in general, this is just kind of an open question here. Anything else you want our students to know about this job? Like any kind of like pros and cons, things you would do differently if you wanted to do this in the future, just anything like that. Anything else you wanted to toss in? It's kind of the open-ended question. So
I would say that this, while education, is obviously very important for this, experience is going to take you a long way in this field. And so like any type of like work experience you can kind of get into, like if you know of any catering companies in the area, they're always looking for part-time people, and that's a great way to get involved and immerse yourself in different venues and see like how events run from the internal side. You're really worried about one area itself. So things like that, or going to event venues and saying, hey, do y'all ever need like some help on event days? I can help move some chairs and stuff and things like that. Well, that will also really give you direct immersive experience into that.
Well, also volunteers, right? Like for places like Red Mountain, y'all are, a little pitch there. We're going to do that in a second too, but for sure, y'all always need volunteers and stuff like that for things, I'm sure, right?
Absolutely.
So, Yeah. So just getting yourself immersed in it. That's a really great idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Tricia, anything to add to that?
Just like if this is what you want to do and you're studying this, hospitality management, look for jobs in the summer or co-op, because that is what's going to give you that heads up. Like everybody is going to probably have that same resume, but if you have some experience, they're going to love to see how well you did in your classes and your references. But actually there's nothing like, and that's with any career. It's not just anything that you're studying. Try to get some work, even if it's, even if it's pro bono, you're not getting paid, it will pay for itself in the future.
Yeah. That's really hard, I think, sometimes for students, because we're of course immersed in this ABC kind of world here at the school. And when they get to college, they're doing the same thing. But then just the ability to say, yeah, I've done these things before, like can be so powerful. I think a lot of times that idea of just work experience in general, even just small things. Yeah, that's fantastic. Awesome.
And it's better to learn early. If you're doing it and you're working, you're like, this is not what I thought it was.
Yeah,
better
right.
to figure that out in the first 2 years than your senior year.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Nothing can be more true than that. Finding out very early on that you love something or don't love something is a very important step for y'all. Yeah. Awesome. Well, listen, Red Mountain's a fantastic place. I have here for y'all to please plug. We are at, this is November of 2023. So I know y'all have some shows coming up. Theoretically, I'd love to keep this interview for a little while. So maybe this is going to be a little bit outdated by then, but maybe tell us anything that's coming up that you might want to plug. And then also any sort of like long-term summer programs or volunteer things or anything else that y'all have going on at Red Mountain. I'd love for my students to hear what kind of opportunities are available out in the community. So what do y'all think?
It's all you.
Yeah, we have a great season that we run every year. The season usually is from December to August. So we do a lot of shows. We do general auditions for those in the fall between October and November. And then that kind of carries us through our season. We have volunteer opportunities year round to usher for those shows. You often get to see the show for free if you volunteer and help hand out programs and stuff. So that's always really fun. We do summer programming as well. So we have 10 to 12 weeks of summer camps that we do for a variety of ages. We do adult classes as well throughout the year. So we'll do 8-week adult courses in adult tap, jazz, ballet, musical theater, improv. So those are great too, and they're usually only about $10 a class. So if you have any students really wanting to immerse into the theater experience, you can do drop-in classes. So if you just want to come to one, you can bring $10 and experience one class for a 50-minute course. So those are really fun too. There's always so much going on. I would say our website is going to be the biggest resource. So redmountaintheater.org is going to show you, as soon as you sign in, you'll see exactly what's coming up and what we're getting involved in.
That's fantastic. Awesome. Great. Yeah. Well, I know I've been there for a number of shows, obviously, since my wife works there. I've been to a number of shows and really enjoyed those things that are there. And she talks all the time about how great those summer programs are and all the things that folks are doing. So I've actually seen a few Vestavia students there as well. So hopefully we'll see a few more in the near future. Who knows? But guys, I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Like, it's one thing for me to tell people things. It's another to hear from my actual professionals out in the field and stuff, to hear from y'all. I just can't tell you how much I appreciate y'all taking some time today to talk to me and talk to my students. So thank you very much. I really appreciate your time.
Oh, thanks,
Absolutely.
Ben.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Awesome. Y'all take care. Okay.
Okay.
You too.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.